there, Global Church family. Welcome to the ongoing conversation about international missions at Fellowship Bible Church, where you get a front row seat to hear what God is continually doing to establish his church around the world. I'm Mark Francis, the host for today, and we are in Winchester, so not out on the mission field or around the world right now. We're in the studio, but yet I have one of our Global Church partners, Martha Beitzel, with us. Hey, Martha.
Hey, how are you?
And I also have a Global Missions pastor's wife with us, Annette McManigle. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. Well, today is an episode unlike any other for our podcast, where we're going to recap a Global Church night that happened at Fellowship Bible Church. And we're going to dive in to talk about almost like a sermon spotlight, essentially, things like that, and just kind of recap what happened last week. So if you were not able to be a part of it or be there, hopefully this can help enhance your view of what God is doing around the world in the Philippines. So, Annette, you were the host for the evening.
Yeah.
How did you get thrown into that? Do you remember how that went down?
Well, I guess they needed somebody and they chose me. No.
Just anybody off the street, right?
Right. No, Martha and I have had a close friendship now for quite a while. Scott and I kind of helped get Martha going back at the end of high school, as far as schooling and missionary thoughts going forward. And so then Martha and I ended up meeting together quite often before she left for the Philippines, while she was going to school, through all of that. And so, yeah, we've had a close relationship, kind of kept up with her story and what it's been like. And so it's a pleasure.
Yeah. Well, and Martha asked for you.
Yes,
as
I
part
did.
of what I remember as well.
I did.
Okay.
But
Well,
I do, before we can get into that content of the night, let's talk more about your all's relationship, because there is something to what you're describing there of a mentor-mentee role. So, Martha, what's your memory of how you got just more involved with the McManigle family, and did you pursue her? Did she pursue you? What did that really look like?
A little of both. Yeah, I mean, I've known of the McManigles for a long time, and their story of having been in Thailand for forever. And I think even as a younger person, that those were stories that I heard. And that was one of the few places I got to really rub shoulders with somebody who had been in some of those situations that I'm walking into now. I just remember when my parents and I kind of had that help my daughter wants to be a missionary moment. The people we knew who had been there before us were the McManigles, and they were in a place at the church where, that was sort of what you guys were doing. And just to see how your experience might inform where I would go next. So I know at the time we kind of reached out and said, hey, we need to have some discussions, and you had great wisdom for where to go. And as we were on that process, I don't think we ever really lost contact. There was never really a moment where Annette didn't know what was going on as far as where the Lord might be leading me or how I was trying to make those decisions. So every point along the way, probably for about over a decade now, we've just, every time I'm in town, meet up. There was about a year during COVID, I was between different training moments, and we just got to meet together regularly and talk through some spiritual growth things, some specific things to the mission field, some specific things from Annette's life and stories that we would get to share. So it's been really, really great. Just knowing that there's somebody who's been there before me, is walking this path.
Walk us through, because you say who's been there before me. So for those that don't know your story, Annette, like, what did you experience out in, I'll quote, mission field world? Have you experienced, why did Martha see that in you?
Yeah.
Like, what have you gone through?
Well, I mean, yes, we were missionaries in Thailand, but I think even more than that, my story began very similar to Martha's. Very young, interested in missions, finished high school, went straight to Bible school, and was on that journey to be a missionary very young. And so I remember those days, and I remember what it's like to, mom and dad are a little bit not so sure about this, and how's that going to go?
And you're going to go far, far away from mom and dad.
Go far, far away from mom and dad. Yeah. And being young and all of that. I remember those things. And so Martha, I suppose reached out. I don't even remember who reached out first, but I remember we had a good connection because we kind of began at the same place and had a desire for missions. And my story is a little different than hers. I got married before we went to the mission field, but it's still, we talked a lot about how God enables you for the thing that he's asking you to do. I remember through her cancer journey and even mission trip to Vanuatu and all of those things. I mean, she experienced things on a short-term missions trip that she had question about. Well, what's that going to look like then as a missionary full time? And I had done the same thing. I had gone on a short-term missions trip 2 years in a row, one to the Philippines, one to Papua New Guinea. And so I remember those moments of being so young, everything is new, trying to absorb it all. And so Martha being able to ask those questions, I don't know. I hope it was helpful.
It's definitely helpful.
Well, again, I view it as a discipleship relationship
Exactly.
that is occurring here. And I think your story can just put some tangible meat on the bones of things that Tim Sanford is talking about around our church, of just either pursue somebody who's been there before, or if you've been there before, look for somebody to pass on the knowledge. And it's, I think it can go across the board of just practical things and tips and tools into then the spiritual. So just, what does that look like for you, Martha, over the years of getting some of the practical tips, but then also some of the spiritual nuggets? What have you gleaned?
Yeah, I remember, I believe we went through the Knowing God book when we were together for a longer period of time. And nowadays, when we're able to kind of meet here and there, it'll just be questions of what's going on, where are you in life and where God has you. And there are definitely moments that I'm able to ask a question like, hey, you lived in the tribe. What was your house like? How did that look to build a house? That's where I'm at now. And, or, what did fellowship with other believers look like? Or just asking those questions. Of course, our experiences are going to be different. We're separated by time, we're separated by location, but there are a lot of encouraging things to be able to talk to somebody who's lived in two cultures, who's learned another language, who's tried to.
I want to touch on that. Yeah. So learning a different language, because we hit a little bit about that at Global Church Night, and we'll get to Global Church Night in a second, but this relationship I find fascinating and want to unpack a little bit more. So Annette, you were able to go through basically the experience of learning a culture and learning a language. Twice.
She's
two languages.
The same thing.
And you're going to be going through the same thing. So explain what that is like, and what have you been imparting to Martha to prepare for that? Like, what is it? Just put us in that place.
Okay. Well, I will say that unlike Martha, she has a talent and she has been taught how to learn language. Me, I was just glad to finish high school. Like I do not want to go on. I'm not a study person, but this again is one of those things where, as we talked, God gives you what you need when you need it. I did not even take language in high school because I wasn't going to go to college and I didn't need another language for anything. So I had this much confidence that I could learn another language and a tonal language. Thai is not an easy language to learn. And yet God gave me the ability to do it and became proficient enough to not only get around, but to, at that time, I don't know if I still could, but at that time to be able to at least speak some spiritual language. And then, like she's going to be doing, moving into a village, learning another language. I mean, I don't think I can impart any wisdom to Martha about language because I I'm not educated. I'm one of those people.
But it's the experiences that you went
it's
through.
the experiences, and it's also, again, dependence on God.
Yep.
Exactly.
Whether you have the human ability or you don't, it's still about God.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that is the wisdom in so many ways. And I know even as myself, as somebody who you said, like, this is a gift that the Lord's given me, I have that training. It doesn't make it easy. I mean, a lot of my friends who are doing the same thing as me, they're like, oh, this must be nice. It must be so easy for you, Martha. Like, no, it's really hard. I might see results in my work, but you still need that reliance on the Lord to be able to do this in any way, shape, or form.
Right. And then added to my language learning, I was also raising children, very young children at the same time. And so I look back at that time and I am just absolutely amazed.
Yeah.
Not because of me,
But what God did.
but what God did.
Yeah. We're going to keep talking about that. Trust me, we will. But if we're going to recap the night, let me just walk people through what they experienced or what maybe they missed. Because in my opinion, it was probably one of the better global church nights that Fellowship Bible Church has put on. And I'll just explain why, I think. But we were able to have a half-hour time of open house game time activities, learning the language with Ben Sanford, sitting around just a couple of chairs and just experiencing what it looks like and feels like to learn a couple of words. Having story being displayed on TV screen in the language that you're learning, Martha. You were there to kind of just talk to people and engage, but food. So appreciate all the many people that went into the food, the games, the activities, the things beforehand, and then a brief 45-minute conversation with the two of you where we had it broken out into 3 different acts or 3 different parts: past in your world in life, present for Martha Beitzel, and then future.
Yep.
And having different set designs and changes of movements of you guys moving around and pretending like, let me box some things up and move it from this place to the next.
Kudos to Rose and you for that.
So being able to have the visual, and I've already gotten feedback from people of like, it's tough to sometimes sit through these things and just listen to 2 people talking on stage. But when my attention started wandering, all of a sudden, boom, you guys moved and the stage curtain opened and I was like, wow, and I'm mesmerized. That's a direct quote from a few people that had happened. So if you weren't able to experience it, just come out for another global church night, because you never know, there could be fun things that happen. But let's talk through, just briefly unpack those 3 stages for those that missed it. So the past.
Sure.
Living in Winchester, being prepared to get launched. Annette asked you a few different questions, but summarize in a nutshell kind of what your life in Winchester was like that led you to this place of looking to say, I'm going to go be a missionary.
Sure. Yeah. So we talked a lot about the role that FBC played in my life, kind of from birth to high school when I went out and got some training, and just how the Lord used Vacation Bible Church or Vacation Bible School here to kind of plant that first seed as a second grader, to just ask the Lord to send me somewhere. How the Lord was using just rubbing shoulders with the McManigles, being part of church here. And even how the Lord used something so horrible as cancer in my family to help us all prepare to see what God might do in the future. And then I got some training through Moody Bible Institute, and that's kind of what we talked about in that.
And there's actually other podcast episodes that you've been on as well. So you can go back to listen to where Martha was where you've been, and here's where you are now. So then phase 2, act 2 was what we called the city. So describe the city.
That's right.
Life, and what's the name of the city, and what did you do over the last couple of years since you've been there?
Yeah, so the name of the city is Malaybalay. It's on the southern island of the Philippines called Mindanao. And that's where I've been for the last couple of years, learning the Bisaya language and culture. So we touched a little bit on what that's looked like, kind of a day in the life, and really that is starts and ends with reliance on the Lord. Because like Annette was saying, most days over there, I just did not feel that I had what I needed to get through the day. And that's where you really get to see God's strength and his provision. We talked a little bit about my church life over there in the Philippines, and just, even the miraculous way that the Lord led me to that church through some different relationships, and how we're hoping to be able to foster that relationship with a local church, even moving forward as I'm going towards a unreached people group.
Mm-hmm. And then Act 3 is the future.
That's right.
So it's going into the village,
Yeah.
and you were able to provide us I keep hitting this, I'm sorry, some really cool footage of helicopter going through the jungle to show where the village is. You also gave us some cool scenes of Malai, of walking through the streets of what that looks like. It's funny, I was chatting briefly with your son, Daniel, and he's like, looks like Thailand, So you have kind of a similar location for both of you guys too.
Right. And fun fact, when I was 16 years old, went on a short-term missions trip, I went to Malai.
No way.
Really?
So you've been there before. Yeah. I'm sure it's probably changed a bit. I don't know. Yeah.
Small world.
But so then part 3. So when you leave Winchester here in the next few weeks, so from when we're recording this right now, what's the plan for the future?
Yeah. So when I get back, I will be house building a house in a little remote location out in the mountains nearby where I live. And I'll be joining 2 other families. So they're my church planning team. So they're already there. They're a little bit ahead of me. They have built their homes. They are studying the Umajam language. And when I get back, it'll be, all right, let's figure out how to build a house here and see the Lord provide again. And then I'll be jumping right back into language learning. Like Annette was saying, it's time for round 2.
Yeah.
So Bisaya was really a bridge language. Okay. People in this village, they're not speaking English. I wouldn't be able to communicate that with them if I hadn't taken that time. So I'll be able to jump right in, communicate enough that I can learn their language to a deep level. And then my team, we're predominantly there for the church. So there isn't a local church in this people group. There isn't any scripture translated into their language. So my team will be teaching through kind of creation to Christ. We say eternity to eternity, starting in eternity past, and just working through the story of the Bible, of what has God revealed about himself, and ultimately culminating with Christ and the gospel message. So my role on the team will mostly be in Bible translation, and that's a long, long process. But we are there to see a indigenous, mature church that's reaching out to other people in their area.
It's a very... Just as this is the baseline.
Yeah.
This is like you're starting from scratch in this village.
That's right.
And Annette, you have experience in that. So before I have Martha continue her story, just walk us through what you've seen God do through this kind of mission work, with how you guys moved into a village.
Yeah. So we moved into the village of Mapei in northern Thailand in 91. And same kind of situation. There's no church. They did actually have portions of the Bible translated already. OMF missionaries had done that ahead of time. There were some songbooks written in their language, but no church to speak of, no believers. And we had been praying for years that God would prepare the hearts of those that we would one day reach. And we saw God do that amazingly, because when we first got there, there were some families who had decided that this spirit worship thing was not working well for them, and they want to try something new. And they had seen a model of church in the city. And so they decided to start meeting on Sunday mornings, sing and pray, and call themselves Christians, right?
Wow.
Didn't know the gospel, didn't understand the word of God, but we saw how God was preparing their hearts and gave them a desire to learn and to know. And so that's kind of how our story began.
And how many years were you there before you left?
So we lived in the village for 11 years.
11 years.
Total.
So in a nutshell, this is tough to answer. What did you see God do in the spiritual progression and growth of that village?
Yeah. So we went from no one understanding the gospel whatsoever to Scott and some of our male coworkers going around and doing pre-evangelism in the village, just asking people, hey, what do you believe about the afterlife? How do you know that? How do you know it to be fact? Are you sure? Because we're about to start teaching from the Word of God, which is truth. And if you would like to hear that, then come on over to the school in the evenings on weekdays and listen to that story. And so began teaching eternity to eternity, same thing. Got to start with the beginning because they don't have a concept of who God is. They have concepts of a small g God, but we need to teach them who God really is and what his character is. And taught a bunch of people through that. And in the end, 5 or 6 people were saved. And so it's a very slow process. It took over a year to teach those materials, and a lot of people did stop listening. But in the end, the ones that ended up understanding the gospel and being saved, there was 5 or 6, and we only had maybe 5 total literate people in the village. 3 of those were our first believers. So we had 3 literate people, actually 2, and then the other one taught himself. But anyway, we had 3 people that were literate, and they were all believers. And it was amazing to see, almost as if God handpicked these first few and began to teach them right away how to share the Bible and all of that.
That's cool. And even though God called you to only be there for 11 years, fast forward, what have you guys heard and seen God do today in that village?
So by the time, so we had 5 or 6 believers, then Scott and his our coworkers started to teach them how to then present the gospel to their own people. So then that group of people that were gathering as Christians that didn't understand the gospel, that group that met on Sundays began to grow. And these brand new believers were being discipled into teaching those people. And in the end, there were probably 50 people that got saved after the second round of eternity to eternity. And it's grown and developed. There are church leaders. I'm not sure what the count is today, but probably upwards of 200 people now that are saved and go to church and all of that.
And a thriving church is now established.
Yes.
And the gospel is spreading even beyond them.
Spreading beyond. There are so many villages that have now been reached beyond Maypay.
Yeah. So what does that do to encourage you, Martha? I wanted you to hear that firsthand. I know you know the story, but so set us up then of what your hopefully vision is, if God wills it to happen. Walk us through your timeline of what that future could hold.
Yeah, I mean, it made me laugh a little. You say God called them to be there only 11 years. Like that seems like a long time to me. I'll be in my 40s in 11 years. And but just remembering that work is worth it. Just to hear those stories, to say, there is a church of 200 people and there are villages that have heard the gospel, and that is worth it. So just to kind of think through, okay, however long the Lord might have me there, 11 years, less, longer, that's still the end goal. So moving forward and, kind of thinking like, all right, I'm trying to learn this language, but that goal being to see those few literate people who are, holding the first bits of God's word in their hands, or, as more people are getting excited and hopefully appointing elders and stepping back as missionaries and saying, okay, this is your church. This is your culture. How do you do communion in your culture? How do you worship in your culture? How do you do baptism in your culture? So I don't know what that's going to look like yet, but I'm so excited to see the Lord, that I could look back in however many years and say, here's the stories.
That's why we're recording this.
Yeah, that's right.
You have the stepping stones of the posterity of where you were. And so just even thinking through the future, again, we don't know what God's going to do, but you're being called to do that. And I want to touch on some of the spiritual nugget highlights that I heard out of Global Church Night, because to me, the stories are one thing.
Sure.
But having you share your heart of what God has been teaching you and what you now better know about God. I mean, I'll even personally say it. I think I've seen just even a growth in you and how you communicate to others about what God is doing. Just the natural rawness of being on the screen and sharing in a Following Jesus video this past week of church of, I don't even know if I want to go back, you know, but yet God has called you to that. And so I've seen that growth. So what have you been seeing God teach you? Because dependence was a key theme that resonated on Friday night at Global Church Night. So just unpack that a little bit more of, you don't have to repeat the same stories, but just how have you grown in that dependence in the Lord?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the big things is just the culture over there is very last minute. We in the US, we like to plan. I like to know what my schedule is for next week. I want to know what I'm cooking for every meal. Folks in the Philippines are much more likely to like, oh, dinner's in half an hour. Let me go buy something for dinner. Or, hey, do you want to come with us? We're going to this event, or come hang out with me right now. So even that, I've had to learn to let go of my Western sense of, I have a plan. I have control over what I need, and just say like, okay, the Lord's going to have to provide the energy for me to get through these 5 hours or however long it is that I'm going on a hike, or the Lord's going to have to provide what I'm going to eat tonight because I don't have a plan yet. So just that moment by moment is one thing, as well as just seeing, I shared a little bit just about the way my team formed, this group of folks who's going to this specific location, and just how we've actually been praying for one another for years. And we had no idea, you know, to be able to put faces and say like, I'm looking back and I'm seeing things that I've written in journals as I'm praying for these people. That's specific. That's asking that God would gather us from the ends of the earth. And we've got some from Germany. We've got some from California. We've got me from here. We've got folks from the Philippines who are part of our team. So just that specific prayer of, okay, that's not something I could do. That's something that God has to do. So just over and over seeing my not enoughness, and that can cause me to panic. That can cause me to shut down, not want to do whatever it is I'm doing. But just those moments that every time I step out in faith, realizing He's been there to catch me. I've made it through every day so far.
I mean, but that's the beauty of what dependence looks like, is it because you can also look back on the past and see God's faithfulness through that. And that's part of what Annette can contribute to you too, is the faithfulness of God through your life, through the good, bad, and ugly, and the ups and downs. And how have you seen Martha's growth over the last few years as you have had this relationship with her?
Yeah, I feel like, you know, our spiritual growth and things takes place in God's time. And God is, again, giving her what she needs for the time. And, you know, I feel like there were, years ago, you know, there was a lot more questions and a lot more, but what do we do about this?
Yep, absolutely.
Than there is now.
One in control.
You know?
Give me the checklist, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Tell me the timeline. Tell me exactly what I need.
And at your age, that's probably where I was too, you know, but walking this walk with God, just, it's less of me and more of Him. And it has to be that way. I remember, I mean, there are plenty of reasons to leave the mission field. Plenty. You can come up with all kinds of them. But if your line is, God sent me here and I will only leave when God tells me it's time to leave, then all of those excuses, all of those reasons, the human reasons, they go away. And it gets you through those tough times when this is not fun, or this is not what I want to be doing, or this is really hard. It gets you through those on your knees, not on my own strength.
Finding the sufficiency in Christ in those moments of
Yeah.
need. Another theme that goes hand in hand with that is the sovereignty of God, of how he is fully in charge. And so therefore he can be trusted. But how have you seen God's plan unfold in your life as opposed to your plan?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when I was graduating high school, I wanted to be on the field tomorrow. And I know Annette remembers this. I was like, oh, do I really need to do this training stuff? Like, well, can't I just go? And I wrestled for a while. I wanted to be there. I wanted to be doing these things. And God had me wait for about 10 years. There were different things going on, some in my family, some in just needing more training. And as I look back, I'm so thankful that Martha 10 years ago didn't end up on the mission field. But just seeing that he was caring for me, that he was caring about my spiritual growth, about different lessons that he wanted to teach me before I got to the field, and seeing that that's true even now. You know, I could say like, oh man, I wish I had been in this village 5 years ago. I wish, you know, this process would be faster. I could learn this language faster. But realizing, no, there are still things that he's teaching me, that he cares. He loves those of us who are sent just as much as he loves those that we are sent to. So absolutely, even just the way that there have been no new church planting teams on my island in 25 years. And all of a sudden, there are 20 families within the past 5 years on my island getting ready to be sent out. So we look at things like that, like, okay, God's doing something. And
He's doing something, yeah.
He used cancer of 2 of our key leaders actually to bring a lot of us to the field. We'll look back and we'll say, hey, we saw what God was doing in this family's life when they had to go home for, you know, health things. And that spoke to us and we wanted to be here and be part of it. So that he's just working even in those terrible, messy situations to accomplish something. We don't know what he's doing yet, but we know he's doing something.
Right.
I remember exactly where we were sitting at Firefly.
Yes.
When you said to me, you said, I am just so glad that God didn't allow me to go sooner because I was not ready.
Yeah.
Annette, you mentioned before that, like, I don't want to get sent home until God causes me to leave. You know, not that your story is going to be like Martha's, but what was the sense that you guys as a family had at that time, that 11 years, it was time to come back?
Well, we had a mature church. They were still maturing. When we moved out of the village, we moved to Chiang Mai. So we were 3 hours away. So we were accessible, but we were also kind of leaving the church on their own. And yet we weren't totally uninvolved. So we moved out of the village, moved to Chiang Mai. And we really felt strongly that it was the right time. We didn't leave because things were hard. We didn't leave because there were issues or whatever. We left at that time because we felt that was what God asked us to do. And honestly, for myself, there was a struggle to leave the village and go live in a city. That sounds crazy to most people. But I am a country girl at heart. And what was so crazy to me was we had lived in the village for 11 years. We started talking about timing to move out and move to Chiang Mai, be a little more distance, still available to the church. But we started talking about moving out and moving to town. And everything about the village, not everything. Lots of things about the village I loved. And one of the things that I did daily, several times a day, was to carry jugs of water that children went to the spring and brought to me, carry jugs of water from the front porch into the house and dump them in the washing machine or the big barrel for flushing the toilets and taking showers and stuff. All of a sudden, that task became so hard for me. Not physically hard, but just like, I don't want to do this again. All those years of living there, it had never bothered me. And all of a sudden, like that thing, it was like, oh, I just hate this. Can't wait till we can have running water, the different kind of running water, not children running with it. But there was that thing that was just a physical thing, but it confirmed in my heart that God gave me the grace for that for 11 years. And I'm done because God is saying it's time to go. And it wasn't easy moving to Chiang Mai. I was in the village. I was teaching children. I was teaching women. I loved it, enjoyed it. I went to town. My kids are now going to an international school. I felt set on the shelf for a while. It was an adjustment. And coming back to the States was even more so that. But, in it, I realized this is God leading. I didn't leave because it was hard. I'm leaving because God said it's time. So
again, more encouraging stories for you to glean, Martha. So
Absolutely.
keep in contact with her. Okay.
I want to go visit. So.
Yes. I don't think all of us can go visit, but little bits at a time, right?
I'm going to have a guest house or a guest room. So
so it's just some practical follow-up things that you didn't get to on Friday night. So how far away is McManigle from the village where you're going to be going?
So it's about a 2-hour drive if there's a road. There's not always a road. It often will get washed out. So praise the Lord, my organization has a helicopter and a helicopter pilot. So it's less than 15-minute flight.
Okay.
So for the most part, we try to use by road. That frees up the helicopter for other things. It's a lot less expensive.
Right, sure.
But in a pinch, if there's no road, there's ways to get in.
And you mentioned that the next step is getting a house.
That's right.
And there was a Q&A time that we had on Friday night as well. And those are some of the questions of like, how good are you at plumbing and doing solar panel installation and whatever? So like walk us through what your expectations are. And the team is there right now. Doing things, right? So
actually the Lord has already answered a huge prayer that I've been asking people to pray for. So when my teammates built their home, there was a Filipino guy. He's an engineer. He works for my organization, putting himself through school. And he was their foreman. He was the one who's dealing with salaries with the local workers. He was the guy who's drawing up plans, supplies list. And it wasn't looking like he was going to be able to come back to help out with my house. And we just got word that it's pretty likely he'll come back.
That's awesome.
So that's an amazing answer to prayer, that there's a guy there who he knows how to build a house in the Philippines. Cool. And he knows the culture of how to pay these guys fairly. You can communicate. So that's a huge answer to prayer. People can continue praying that that would happen, that he would be able to come back. Just as my parents are hoping to come and take a trip, just to be able to kind of have myself in 2 locations. As a single person, it gets a little complicated, even just navigating in and out. It's not a good idea for me to be driving that stretch by myself until I have relationships along the route. So just to have, somebody in town, somebody out in the village communicate, hey, we need to buy this. Can you get us that? And we're praying. I mean, the Lord knows exactly what timing and what projects we might need to get help from the outside. So even if there are folks from the church who are like, hey, I want to be available for a last minute trip to help set up some plumbing or whatever that looks like, build cabinets. It's more relying on the Lord and saying, I may not know what every step looks like, but he has somebody in mind who knows how to do that, who's going to help. He has where I'm going to get those materials from. He is already providing for how that's going to happen.
And then the language learning and the attempting just to build relationships all at the same time to then be able to just reach out to the people. How many people essentially are currently a part of that village?
Sure. So it's about 100 folks, we think, who live in the village. So they have 4 harvests a year, and it's a corn economy. So they will travel around a lot to the different villages in the area to help out with each harvest. So at any given time, there's a lot fewer people or a lot more people than that 100 people.
Now, so are there others around in other villages who speak that same language?
Yes, there are. Okay. So there's kind of one road. We're kind of at the end of the road, about pretty deep into the people group. But all along the road, you'll be passing villages one after another that are speaking the same language. And slowly, as you get out, it's more mixed with other languages. There'll be surrounding people from other native tribes or just national Filipinos speaking a different language.
There's potential of what God can do, not just in that village, but spreading beyond with the language and the potential translation that you guys are working towards.
Yeah, and that's even part of we hate to use the word strategy, but in choosing a place that's very deep in the language so that they're very accessible to other people. That way, once there is that church, like you talked about, it's an easy place for them to go and share to other people around them. Or it's a natural place for somebody else from a different area to come through and hear the gospel while they're harvesting or whatever that looks like in the future.
You're wearing an outfit.
I am.
It looks very Asian. So it is. Explain what that dress is symbolizing.
Yeah. So, this is I just bought it over there. It's kind of a basic style that you would wear. Usually they'd have puffier sleeves, but the colors I chose specifically. So every tribe on my island has their own set of colors. So these are the colors that are associated with the Umajam people. So especially blue is their big color, but then they'll have red and some white and some yellow mixed in as well. So, they've got different meanings, such as the red is for bravery and the white is for death. They believe that white is the symbol of life having an end. So they're constantly in their jewelry reminding themselves of these things.
So you shared John 3:16 with us on Friday night is it Beitzel?
Yes.
I gotta get it right. Can you do that again? Because it's fun to listen to kind of what you've learned. And so how long did it take you to learn this?
Well, so it's a complicated issue with Bisaya as well, in that they don't actually have a translation of the Bible in their language. They have it in a related dialect, which is even fairly difficult for a lot of people to understand. So as I even quote this verse, it's not something that I learned from reading this language. It's what a lot of folks over there do when they're trying to teach God's word, which is reading in a different language or dialect and then just kind of translating off the top of your head.
Wow.
So it's just kind of like, all right, I know this verse. Let's try to say it. So this is kind of a rough translation.
Okay.
You would never want to write this down and, preach on it.
We're not going to hold you to it.
But so I would say, gihigugma sa Ginoo ang tibuok kalibutan sa kining pamaagi nga gipadala niya ang iyang isang ka anak para ka ang tanan nga magtuo sa iya ha, dili mi mamatay, pero magpadayon mi og kinabuhi hangtod sa hangtod.
That's awesome. I love it.
You kind of got to stretch it out to explain
there's
it.
specific accents and specific kind of inflections that you throw in there.
Very different.
Annette, language options. Like what things do you know that you can convey from your experience in Thailand?
Well, I will say that my brain is a little rustier than Martha's. What's interesting about language, I'll tell you this first, is that the situation that you're in makes a huge difference what's coming out of your brain.
Yes.
So we learned Thai language in the city, and I learned the Karen language out in the mountains. And I cannot very easily switch those two. So if I'm in the city, the words are really hard for me to come out with the Karen language in the city. I remember being in the village, and there was a Thai teacher that came up to my porch, and she started talking to me. And yes, I understood all of it. She was speaking to me in Thai. But the only words that would come to my tongue were the Karen words. I could not come out with Thai words. She probably thought I knew no Thai. I mean,
wow.
And so it's very situational.
Yeah,
so it's
interesting.
It's challenging.
It's like switching your brain to a different world.
Yeah. But I mean, I can say in Karen, that God loves you.
Yeah.
Kachewe ene. And in Thai, it would be, oh boy.
Here's the brain.
Here's the brain thing, right? You have to switch. Pachao uipon.
It's very different.
Very different.
Yeah.
Both languages are tonal, but Thai has 5 tones and Karen has 4 tones. And so it's complicated, but if you learn it situationally, it comes out naturally. This is not a natural situation.
But do you get a chance to use it in Winchester at all? Do you come across opportunities to speak in Thai?
Not Karen, but
not Karen.
Yeah, right. But Thai, when I go to a Thai restaurant, I love to order in Thai. And if they don't already know me, they're like, what?
Yeah, get the shocked face, right?
I just enjoy that, yeah. But there are Thai restaurants around that when I come in the door, they, Sawadee-ka.
They'll know you, yeah.
They know me, and they know I order in Thai.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's kind of fun.
They probably appreciate that, too.
They do. I think so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Well, you did share at the end, as we kind of wrap up, you shared at the end of the night just things to pray for. Yeah. And then your very next few weeks, next steps. Remind us of those things. So things to pray for, we've already kind of covered, but just solidify those for us. And then where are you going for the next few weeks before you really leave Winchester?
Sure. Yeah. So things to pray for. Absolutely. This upcoming house build is huge on my mind. Just the Lord's provision for wisdom, expertise, timing, finances, all of that, that he would just continue to be providing. You can pray for my team. So like I said, they're already over there. They're learning that language. We get to chat some, and it's already tiring. They've been in it for a couple months and they're feeling it. So just praying for them and for what's ahead for me. They're finding it difficult to have their teachers stay consistent. It's just not the kind of work that people over there are used to. They're working with their hands. So just that mental work is challenging. So you can pray specifically that, their teachers would desire to push through.
Maybe you can bring some fresh energy.
There you go.
Yeah.
Right. And then just praying for relationships. So that's relationships with folks in the village that we know are going to become some of the first believers or someday the elders of the church. Maybe translation helpers. Maybe they're going to be, just part of that work that we're not just doing alone, as well as relationships within my team, that our love would radiate out, that the Lord's love would be seen. And we know that even before we're able to communicate in their language, that we can be doing that. We can be demonstrating that. But that takes a lot of wisdom in a culture that I'm not familiar with. What does love look like in this culture?
Well, I'll also add just the continual trust and dependence in the Lord when things do get down. Because as you've shared, it is challenging. So like that, I think prayer can certainly help assist with that as well. Anything that you would add to things to pray for?
No, I mean, just, to keep their eyes on God and to realize that he is sovereign, that he is our strength. Without him, we can't do any of it.
I keep joking with people. It's really easy for me to sit here now and say, oh, I'm trusting God to get this house built. Give me about 6 months and ask me then how much it's easy to trust God to get this house built. So just that endurance to not just choose to trust him once, but that's a moment by moment when it looks like this is never going to get done, when it looks like this is just a disaster, that he's still in control.
And you spent these last few months kind of continually building relationships, partnering with people. And before you do leave, you're still going to do that. How has that been going? And are you looking for other support and other ways to just more than just pray for you?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm still around. I'm still available to connect with people. The big thing is relationship encouragement in that way. But like you're talking about, this house is going to cost a fair amount. So if there are folks who are wanting to donate to that, I know through the church or contact myself or we can grab coffee and chat about what that looks like for sure.
And you officially go back when?
Yeah, I go back last week in April.
Okay.
So yeah.
Good.
Around a little while more.
We're certainly.
If you want a story of mission field life, there is a book in the library that I wrote a bunch of years ago, where spirits roam, but God reigns. One day, Martha can write us a book about her experience.
Yep. The stories of what God does, and just document those for us. Okay,
that's right.
And
absolutely
share. Well, we're so thankful that you have been able to be here for these last few months, and excited for you to be able to go back out. So again, continue to pursue what the Lord is calling you to do, and know that like you've got the support here in Winchester, backing you, and you've got your parents who can come visit and other things, So communication, I'll just ask that. I mean, is there a way that people can connect with you?
Sure. Yeah. So I send out monthly emails, or it's actually kind of become quarterly anymore since I stay pretty busy. And then I have a WhatsApp group that I just send updates out every once in a while. And I know I've got prayer cards scattered around the church, or different ways that people are able to connect. Maybe I'll try and link a sign up for something like that to the show notes.
Yep, you got it.
But yeah, I'm able to get text messages, get emails while I'm over there. And even, I've, like you mentioned, my family is an amazing support to me. So I know sometimes folks want to send me a book or something. My mom's the best way to get those things back and forth. So.
Good. Well, thank you, ladies, for being here, sharing your stories, and being able to just be encouraged by what God is doing with you, and also Annette, you too. Just being able to have you here in Winchester has been a blessing to our church body, of having God call you out of that field and being here. So, and thank you guys for being a part of the conversation here. Continue to share this podcast with other friends that might not know that the Global Church podcast here at FBC exists, so they can learn more about what God is doing around the world, get updates, get just details of other Global Church partners beyond Martha. And remember that you can also check out the Sermon Spotlight podcast. You can check out the Fellowship Family podcast here at Fellowship Bible Church to know more of what God is doing here locally. So thanks so much for watching and listening. Again, Martha, Annette, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And let's just remember that it's Christ who is continually building his church until we all attain to the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God.